right, guys, today is the promised day. Let's take a look at what we got going on here. Patch 1.14. So lots of things that we were wanting out of this patch. So let's dive into it. Initial impression, it looks like there's a lot more to this than what we got in the last patch, where it was just two things, right? We have a metagame snapshot. We'd like to start periodically sharing some of the metagame data we use to inform our balanced updates over time, with a few key goals in doing so. All right, so they're doing this metagame snapshot. Okay. Oh, this is actually great, right? So we have play rates and win rates here, right? And it looks like they're showing us a patch ago, or showing us 2 patches ago, and then they're showing us current patch. This is interesting, and we'll dive into this here at the end of this. If you guys are anything like me, y'all want to get to the card. So let's see what we got here. Lucian can now trigger the same round as leveling up. This change and the similar one to Jinx Blow are intended to better align their level 2 effects with the way those of newer champions like Sejuani and Soraka function. There is some challenge here due to their current state of balance, but we feel the champion consistency in the area warrants a change. Okay, so basically the same turn this thing levels, if another ally dies, you can get the rally trigger. That's really powerful, right? Especially if paired with SI. Like that's huge. So I can attack, level happens, I can glimpse. This is going to be huge soon. Shyvana, they buffed her power from 3 to 4. I mean, I don't think it's enough. Like, dragons need way more help, and the dragons, this still doesn't fix the main problem that this archetype has, where they just don't have any synergy amongst each other, right? So it's kind of a big issue there. Oh, I was waiting on this one. Okay, let's see. Old text, for each attacking ally other than Vlad, deal 1 to it and deal 1 to the enemy nexus. New text. For each attacking ally on my right. Wait, so I can control what Vlad hits? So Vlad doesn't indiscriminately kill my dudes? Oh, this is great. Merry Christmas. Like, people were expecting, because we knew a Vlad buff was coming, right? But people were expecting like a stat buff or a cost change, like, you know, the typical This is a great example of the devs fixing a archetypal problem with a card, right? And the issue was that if I'm attacking you with dudes, right, with units, the problem is Vlad would kill my smaller things. And Vlad at 5 is really like the top end of my curve, right? So I need the pressure from the other units. Like, I need their attack stat line to connect as well, because the 1 damage he's doing over the top isn't enough. So that's great. And it looks like his leveled form. Oh, and they reduced the cost of, they reduced how many allies he has to see damage. It's great. So he levels quicker too. This is great. This is great. This is everything I wanted to be doing with Vlad. All right, Trundle. Okay, guys. How many of you guys, you see a Trundle level up animation and it triggers like some form of PTSD? Like, it's tough. The last meta, you've either been playing Trundle or like being played by Trundle, right? It looks like they have reduced his health by 5. So that's great. I see text about the pillar. And they nerfed the pillar too. This is fine. Trundle still has a role to play in order to help keep aggro under control, right? Because without things like a Trundle, then your game just becomes X1s and X2s attacking back and forth, and that's all anyone would ever do, right? So Trundle still has a place, not as overpowered. The pillar nerf is great as well. If they need to tone it down a little bit more, they will, but I think this is great. The pillar doesn't just block forever. Very good. A caution here For people who thought Trundle was gonna disappear forever in this patch, and like their feelings were involved, Trundle's still gonna be around. Trundle's not gone, right? It's not gonna be as dominant. So don't expect it to disappear forever, guys. As you targeted 10 plus enemies this game. What? No. So Ez is now busted again. They've lowered his targeting condition to 6 enemies, and he still levels from hand. It doesn't say you've seen. Hang on. So they changed the text on his leveled form. His old text, Mystic Strike, complete or create a Mystic Shot in hand. When you cast a spell, deal 2 to the enemy nexus. New text, Nexus Strike, create a fleeting Mystic Shot in hand. When you cast a spell, deal 1 to the enemy nexus. If it targeted an enemy, deal 2 to the enemy nexus instead. So the Mystic Shots that he generates now deal 3 to the nexus instead of 4. And if they're going towards units, then it's still going to deal 2. He doesn't kill you as quickly, but he levels significantly quicker now. Yeah, Ez is going to be back. Bring your culling strikes, bring your grasps. That's pretty much all we have, right, to kill units. I would say bring your fervors, but you're playing against an Ez deck. They're going to kill the thing that you fervor off of, so sorry. Jinx can now trigger the same round as leveling up. You don't get the rocket right away. You still need to empty again. Okay, this is fine. This one doesn't really change anything per se. I guess it's like late game, I guess it could have applications. Tarot 2 to 3. This card's still bad. The reason why Tarek is bad is the short answer is it takes way too much to make it happen. And the devs actually had explained this in an article that was out in Out of Cards. It's just the whole support archetype. You need the supporter, the unit being supported. In Tarek's case, you need a spell, and you need to be doing this relatively early in the game. And stuff still needs to survive combat. I don't think this change really does enough. Tiana becoming an 8/8. I mean, this card's super powerful, right? Stat line doesn't matter because it was a 7/7 tough that rallied. It's killing you is what it's doing, right? Like I guess at 8 I would say it was able to one-shot a pillar, but it's doing that now, like regardless. So I don't know. The stat change doesn't matter very much. Wording Stones buff reversion, so it's going back to 3 health. This is a big one. Wording Stones not being able to block, making the FTR and War Mother's decks more vulnerable to aggro, or decks that can just run any type of removal, really. This is big. This is a very big deal. You're gonna see a drop in the power level now with the Trundle nerf and the Wording Stones nerf. You're gonna see a drop in power with the Trundle decks, with the ramp decks, right? There's probably still a universe where hard Trundle control, like that archetype probably starts sliding back into like Lidros stall. I could see that happening, and that's perfectly fine. Like the ramp isn't as important. So, but yeah, FTR, this is a huge hit to FTR. Fuzzy Caretaker, cost to 3, health to 2. So I read this and my initial impression is this a buff or a nerf? So it's easier to play. Like they're saying Fuzzy Caretaker was a bit too expensive to effectively fit the playstyle of low to the ground support decks. True, but being an X2 is like a real deal, because in this game, a large part of how you deal with units is blocking and killing them in combat. So I don't know. Two, as we would say in Among Us, is kind of sus. Mina Swiftfoot. They gave her quick attack, they increased her health, they increased her power. Doesn't matter. If I recall 3 enemies, and put what was a 6-5 onto the board, I better be winning that game. Like, the stat line shouldn't matter at that point. I feel the same way about this one that I do about this. I'm like, this one's probably more impactful, I guess. Maybe less. Maybe less, because like there should just be nothing there to block her, generally speaking. Whereas this thing still has to go into combat. I don't know. I don't. I'm not seeing it there. Funsmith, cost reduction, power reduction. This with Ez is kind of scary, huh? So I can bank 3 mana. I can bank 3 mana, play this on 4, and then like make it rain, deal 2 to everything. I can really, it's like a 5. Like at 5 is when it becomes dumb, right? Because I bank 3 mana, play it on turn 5, and then like I have Static Shock for 2 and 2. I have Make It Rain. I have Mystic Shots, now dealing 3. Because the issue with it at 5 is like it's coming down too late, right? And its back end was always 3. It could be good. I'm not gonna say it's good. Like, it's still a little fragile for its cost, right? But it could be really good. Definitely, if it resolves and gets to live, it's gonna take over games. Oh, a removal buff. Oh, thank you. Thank you. If an ally died this round, deal 3 to a unit. An ally died this round, deal 4 to a unit. Thank you. At least now we have a way to kill a misfortune through a Ranger's Resolve. Literally, all I care about is being able to kill misfortune through a Ranger's Resolve. Because right now, there's no other spell that's gonna do that until you hit Crumble. Crumble's the first reliable way, because they can always kill the unit underneath the Crumble, right? And fizzle the Crumble. But Crumble is your first reliable way to kill misfortune, right? Like that seems, so this just like a tool that hits Jinx, a tool that hits Draven, a tool that hits Lucian, a tool that hits Ez, that hits all of these things, anything, all these X3 champions through a Ranger's Resolve seems pretty good to me. If you guys can't tell, like some of you guys are traumatized by Trundle, I'm traumatized by Ranger's Resolve. Oh, okay. The power I don't care about as much. The loss of the shot, the loss of that cannon shot. I mean, Bilgewater is going the way of unplayable. It's just so many nerfs. Like, I had a hard time consistently triggering Rex ever since they nerfed the Grifter. So, I mean, Bilgewater has been nerfed into the dust. Between Make It Rain gone, like the only thing Bilgewater has is Misfortune, and she's like the standout Bilgewater card in Scouts. Eclipse Dragon becoming a 7/7. Okay, it's a big boy. So the problem is that we lost some of our ramp, like we're losing a little bit of our ramp power with Wording Stones, but I mean, hey, it's a 7/7 now. That's a big deal, right? It being a 7/5 meant that like aggro decks could pretty effectively kill it with a significantly cheaper unit, right? Like they could even kill it with a 2 or 3 cost unit plus a 2 or 3 cost spell and still be more mana efficient than you. So it's a big deal. I like it. Okay, cool. Last thing I want to talk about, I just want to mention this here. I'm actually gonna zoom out a little bit. Is win rates for decks, right? and we'll use the current patch. And we're not gonna dig into all of this, but I really just want to go over this and highlight really one point that I've been thinking about a lot in this game. So if you look, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 different archetypes here. There are 17 different archetypes here. And of these 17 different archetypes, right, only 1, 2, 3. So of the 17, 14 of them have over a 50% win rate, guys. To all of my deck builders out there, and the approach that I'm going to be taking when designing decks from now on, especially for ladder, I'm going to be taking a cross section of the 12 to 20 decks that can be played, and I'm going to be trying to build a deck that can beat the top 30 or 40% played consistently, or at least beat 40 to 40% of that meta consistently based off of play rates. And then there's going to be a lot of matchups that I just don't care about. And I think that that's going to help a lot. This data makes me realize that if I'm trying to brew, and we said this in Magic all the time, if I'm trying to brew to beat everything, I'm not going to be good against anything. I'm gonna lose against everything, right? So it's really going to be about building something solid that attacks the majority of the field, and like you're just going to have to accept your lumps, man. And that's been a really tough thing for me as a gamer to deal with, but I'm gonna have to accept that in my deck design from here forward. You know, and for those of you who have been having a hard time or just feels like you can't get ahead, especially on ladder, right? Like the best deck has a 55% win ratio. Like you have to be plus 20 games positive to move to the next floor on the ladder, right? And you only save progress in increments of 20, right? So if I can be at 19 wins, plus 19, and start sliding backward, and I can slide all the way back down to plus 0, right? Think about that, and how hot you have to run over time. So if you're stuck at a particular floor, don't let that bother you. Do not. Evaluate your deck choices. Don't change decks too frequently, right? Because then you'll mess these numbers all the way up, right? Because the assumption is these percentages are over time, right? But if you're rapidly changing decks, what will happen is, or what has the potential to happen is, you queue into the bad ends of each matchup for whatever deck. So then instead of playing 5 good games and 5 bad games with the deck that's 50%, you change to a different archetype, right? And then you play 5 bad games, and then you change decks because you're tilted, and then you play 5 bad matchups with the other deck, and you just throw these percentages all out of whack. So if you're queuing into the same people, obviously change because you know what the matchup's going to be. But if it's a lot of players on the ladder, you're seeing different names, different people, like don't change decks rapidly because you'll mess with these numbers. And stick to the grind. The second point to this is every single percentage point matters in your win rate, right? Like, you on the ladder, you don't have the ability to I don't like playing mirrors and just concede a game. Your win rate can't take that. You don't have the ability to, oh, I'm gonna experiment with this deck. Your win rate can't take that, right? If you're on the rank floor and you're not trying to progress, that's one thing, right? And I'm guilty of this, and this data is really helping me understand and wrap my mind around this. Like, once you get off of the rank floor and you start moving forward, you gotta stay the course, because your win rate can't take deviations. Not if a healthy win rate, the best win rate, I think the best number here is, the best number in all of this data is 55.95%. That's tanked, right? Like the one, so if you're playing this deck and you're only playing this deck, the one game where you're like, I wonder if this combination of cards will be a little bit better on the ladder. The one game that you do that and you mess with the formula in your ranked games, that loss is crippling, right? Like, the data's pretty nuts here, you know? So this is just something to think about. But all right, we've gone long enough. This is just my review of the patch notes. I appreciate you guys sticking with us. If you like the content, like the information, if you want to dispute anything I've said, or better yet, if you have feedback that's going to help the channel and help all of us here grow and get better, hey, please feel free to join me live. I stream Monday, Wednesday, and Friday with a bunch of streams in between. Announce those on Discord. Hey, appreciate it. Hope to see you live. Leave a comment, like, follow, subscribe. This is Blue Perfection, and I'm out.